All right, all right, all right. We are loading. Great evening, great people, and welcome in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come on in the room. Let us know that you can hear us loud and clearly tonight. We're super excited to be here for another day, another week, another opportunity to jump in the flow, to stay in the flow. I want to take a moment and say, welcome to Sister Talk Power Moves. I am Monet S. Horton, visionary and host of Sister to Sister Talk Power Moves. And we are excited to welcome you in tonight. Happy Monday. Happy final day, last day of the I'm getting ready to say the week, but the month. Can you believe it, y'all? We was just saying, I feel like we were just saying, hey June. Not even to mention, hey, to the beginning of the year, but we are excited to be here with you tonight. And of course, we are joined with our co-host, Lady T. Say hey to the people.
Hey, hey, everybody.
Hey, 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 hey. Happy Monday. We're excited. Listen, y'all are in for a treat tonight. Come on in the room. Let me know. Let us know that you can hear us and that you are here. Tonight, we are joined with Miss Tamara, Miss TeeKay, Kumoji, and I am super excited. We're talking about how to use art for healing and growth. Come on in the room. Those who know you need some self-care, know that you've been navigating, you need to release, but you're looking to transform your life and to grow, go beyond the boundaries, the norm. Come on in, get your pen and your notepad tonight because you are in for a treat. Miss TeeKay is a Baltimore native, art wellness coach, poet, and speaker with over 25 years in the arts. A published author and co founder of FYBR LLC, she uses creative expression to promote healing and mental wellness through her platform. You had to help me out with this. Tamshan
Tim
and
Handcrafts.
Handcrafts. Listen,
Mm-hmm.
listen. I was going on. She empowers individuals, especially artists, living living with mental health challenges. A former youth caregiver and mental health survivor, her work is rooted in lived experience from local stages. Wait a minute, y'all. From local stages to Greece GSU international speaker experience. Miss TeeKay inspires others to reclaim power and guess what? Protect their peace through art. We are so honored to have you tonight here. Welcome to Sister Talk Power Moves.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, hey, hey. Listen, y'all, I had the opportunity, now that we got that out the way, right, to meet this trailblazer at GSU. We are part of Global Speakers University. Shout out to Dr. Cheryl Wood, right here in the DMV doing wonderful things. But we also know that we have made a connection through our high school years as well, and so when you're in a room leveling up and you look over and you see familiar faces and like-minded individuals, we had no other choice but to connect. And I'm so excited. TeeKay, you have been blazing the trail in your own right, in your own way, and I absolutely love it. You have been, I've been watching you, sis, doing your thing. And I'm just honored again, and congratulations for everything. Happy belated birthday as
Thank
well.
you, Sugar.
Yes, yes, and yes. So here at Sister to Sister, as we shared before, we flow. We like to get to the story, behind the story, right? The story behind the glory of what
Mhm.
people see. They see you
Mhm.
showing up. And let me tell you, that picture, that headshot on the flyer, listen, you listen. I said, come on, Feathers, come on. And they see you show up, they see you doing what you do, and you're in the flow now. Um, but I know that it hasn't always been the story or a place that you can talk from or speak from power and strength
Mhm.
and confidence. So much so that now you can reach back and help somebody else.
Mhm.
And so, as we transition tonight, I want you to just share um, who are you, and beyond your bio, who are you, and how did you get to this place? What's that story
Sure.
behind?
So I am a East Baltimore girl. I grew up in East Baltimore. I am a single mom. I was a teen mother. I had my oldest daughter at 16. I went to a school that was called Launch G. Paquin, which was back then was a pregnant girls school. I graduated from there with honors, with a baby, and I got a scholarship to school. But my start of life was challenging, to say. My mom, undiagnosed, she just was very sad growing up, but she always was just gone. My grandmother called us the road runner. And so she would just pack me up, and my mom was a teen mother. So I don't want to fast forward, but my girls are breaking generational curse because I had three daughters and they are not teen moms. They have graduated from high school. My youngest daughter is going to her senior year without a baby. She's 17. She's in college this summer doing a trade. She goes to Dunbar High School. So I've been trying to break generational curse. But my mom, she struggled with mental health issues all throughout my life. I didn't know, where the sadness came from. My dad was a super kingpin. He got locked up when I was 3 years old. He was incarcerated for my entire childhood. And so I had to navigate life with my mom. My grandmother helped raise me, which put a lot of morals into my life. So just growing up, I am the oldest child. But as I entered middle school, my mom had a nervous breakdown. And she went into the hospital. And I was the only child home because my sisters, they stayed with their father, my stepfather. And so it was very challenging to be a child where my mom didn't want to take medication. She didn't want to follow anything. So we lost our house. We had to move back with my grandmother. I ended up getting pregnant. It was a lot of things that was going on. But the school that I went to, Launch G. Paquin, had a house that was we called it the Paquin House, but it was called Second Chance. And there is where I went when I was 17. I went there to live. I had my own apartment. I was the only one who graduated out that program successfully. You could not get pregnant again. You had to finish school. And so I did all of those things. I even saved up money doing there because they gave us a stipend. Um, but I try to use every opportunity that was presented to me, even though I had less fortunate opportunities. Um, so I finished high school. I went to college. I didn't finish right away, but then when I was 22, I was pregnant with my youngest daughter. Um, my mom was hit by two cars and she was killed. Um, and so that's where my anxiety really started. I don't really think I knew what anxiety was, but I started having panic attacks. And I was going to see a therapist. I was, you know, trying to take medication, and the stigma surrounding mental health, especially in our community, we don't understand it. We just think we could beat it out of people. But then I also realized that I had ADHD. So, I was dealt with ADHD, have anxiety, but then with all the trauma that I went through, I also have PTSD. And then added on with the grief with my mom passing away. And you sometimes think that, with grief, that it's something that will go away, but you have grief hiccups. And to fast forward to last year, I just came back from Greece, and I had a grief counselor who was a good friend of mine who was in GSU. And as soon as I came back, she had passed away. And when I said that triggered a grief hiccup, it spiraled me because my mom's death anniversary was August. So I was grieving that, but then when I came back and she passed away, I had lost my job. Um, I spiraled out of control. So this winter has been one of the worst times for my mental health. I literally had to check myself in, which was never something I wanted to do because the stigma, and seeing my mom, struggle with her mental health and going to the hospital and different things like that. Um, I just thought it was going to be chaotic. Well, social services is more chaotic than the mental health hospital. So if you could go in there, you could go to the hospital if you need to. But long story short, it was one of the best things that ever happened to me. And me being an art wellness coach, I'm helping people with self-care. I'm telling people how to do this. And I found myself in the hospital. And I'm like, how? But when I looked around at all of the patients that was there, I was in there being an art wellness coach. I was doing my purpose, what I was supposed to do all along, And so I was born with a mother who had a mental illness, but that is my purpose, to help people, to let them know that you can break generational curses. That if you
Yeah.
need to take a small pill, then it's necessary. If you need to go to the hospital, if you need to take care of yourself, we're so busy taking care of everybody else, but we don't take care of ourselves. And that's what
Mm,
led me to the
yeah.
hospital, But in the hospital, I met some amazing people. Some are still my friends now. And I was in the day hospital, and the lady, one of the instructors, came around, and she brought these coping cards, and it was on a
Mm.
plain piece of paper, right? And it was only 8 cards, and I'm like, I can actually make these. And so I went home, still in the hospital, the day hospital, and I created these coping cards. And it's 35
Wow.
cards. They're front and back, and it's just telling us, like, to remember certain things. Sometimes you just count backwards. Counting backwards from 100 to 1 is a simple trick to shift your focus away from stress. So that's just one of the cards. But deep breathing is just reminding you of different things.
Wow.
Yeah. I know I probably went over.
No, you good. So
Yeah.
so don't put your cards away.
Okay.
Can you let's do a real live. Take us through a real live demonstration since
Mhm.
you have them out. Um, so yeah, let's go. Let's go. Give us
Okay. So, some of my friends who are instructors,
Mhm.
teachers, yoga instructors, they have purchased these cards for their clients.
Love it.
But
Mhm.
as an individual, using these cards, you can use them picking one each day. Maybe you're
Mhm.
stressed out. Maybe you're a mom, you have children. Having these cards on the table or something like that. But
Love it.
I did one of them, but let me see. Um, One here is I am enough.
Mm.
And on the back, I am worthy just as I am. So using these cards, you could just, pick them up, especially when you're going through a lot. This is my favorite one. I
Mhm.
My therapist I had for over 6 years. And I would go in. At the time I was married, and the kids, the husband, everybody was just getting on my nerves, and I'm just like,
Mhm.
I'm razzled, And she says,
Right.
I am only one person. I am only one person.
Mm.
I'm doing the best that I can. And sometimes we have to remind ourselves we have so many obligations, so many expectations on us that people set, social media set, sometimes we set of our own. But just remembering that you are enough, that you're only one person and you're doing the best that you can. So
Wow,
it's
wow,
as simple.
wow.
Yep, it's as simple as just reading a card. Yep.
Yeah. That's so powerful because I think that sometimes we make things so heavy,
Mhm.
and it's very simplistic, right? We
Yeah.
put so many layers on it and to a place where we may overwhelm ourselves and end up doing nothing and being stuck.
Mhm.
Um, but when you can speak those are also affirmations, right?
Mhm.
Phrases, affirmations. Um, that we can speak, it helps us to move the needle forward. I
Mhm.
love the I am enough. I actually have an I am enough ring on now.
Yes.
Um, so, that's further, confirmation. But um the way that you've taken your first of all, you said, look, I went inside myself in
Uh-huh.
because to get the help and the support
Mhm.
that you need.
Mhm.
Um, and in the midst of that, finding your purpose
Mhm.
Yes.
or
Yep.
further confirming, because I'm sure you
Yeah.
had an inkling already,
Well, I
but
was already, yep. I was already calling myself a art wellness coach. Just like you said, we went through GSU, and I was trying to find what it is that I love, but I already knew art was my purpose. Everything I do
yeah,
is using some form of
art.
art, and
Yeah.
so I've always considered myself. I am an artist that speaks. And so that's
Mhm.
something that I've always held on to. I'm always an artist. And you can't put me into a box. I'm a multidisciplinary artist. I do
Yeah,
all different types of art. I'm a seamstress, I'm a
yeah,
poet, I'm a speaker, I'm an author, I'm a writer, I create, and so I can't be boxed in. But
yeah.
I wanted, sometimes you want to get that confirmation from God, like what is it that I'm supposed to do? Like, I know art is the thing, but can you make money off of art? That's where the
Mm-hmm.
distraction comes in. Well,
Yeah,
and maybe I can't afford to be an artist, but I'm always going to be an artist, whether I have a 9 to 5, a business, or whatever. I'm always an artist.
yeah,
But
yeah.
actually going in there were so many artists in the
Mm-hmm.
hospital. We all in there
Yeah.
coloring, and now this was during the inauguration, so we didn't
Mm-hmm.
know the world was in chaos.
Wow.
We in
But
there
you,
coloring,
yeah,
doing art. We had no
get what
idea
you,
that the world was in chaos,
and
and
didn't even need to add that on top.
Mm-hmm.
that part. But even in the midst of that, it's still in chaos. And so
Mm-hmm.
how do you distract yourself from it? Now, if you think about the Titanic, the ship was going down, and the musicians was playing instruments.
Come on.
So art has always been a form to cope. We've always used
Yes.
art. Even in the Bible,
Mm-hmm.
they talk about musicians and how they
Mm-hmm.
calm your spirit down
Yeah.
with
Mm-hmm.
music. Art has always been a form to help you cope. And so I will be up in the middle of the night sometimes, and I'll
Yeah.
start painting toilet paper rolls. Well, this
Wow.
toilet paper
Look at
roll,
you.
I just did swirly lines. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to flatten it, and I'm
Mhm.
going to make earrings out of it. And so I'm going to cut it and sew and it's going to actually be some earrings. So it doesn't look like much. It just right now it just look like a toilet paper roll. But that's how I look at art. Everything
Mm-hmm.
is art.
Yes.
Everything is art.
You're gonna
And
have
so
people in that room, in their bathroom, pulling the tissue.
Yeah.
Gonna, because I'm surely listen. So we gonna in these days and times, you better maximize
Yeah.
everything that you have. If you buying toilet tissue for $8, you better use that roll too.
mhm.
Don't just
But these would be
listen.
$8 earrings.
I need TK, Miss TK. Come
Yep.
on now. I love it. So I'm gonna need them earrings though. Let me know when you finish.
Okay. Can Can you see the inspiration or not yet?
Oh yeah, no, I already said love the colors already. But so we want to have to do a session, like a whole
Okay.
class on this.
Mm.
But wow, you just said a whole lot, and
Whole lot.
how you can um how do you so while you're there now you're helping other people to cope, and you mentioned being distracted from. Let's
Mm-hmm.
talk about that, because some a lot of times we talk about distractions, period, that's keeping us from our purpose, or
Yeah.
distractions that's keeping impeding our progress. And so, but this is a you're saying to be able to, I believe you're saying, to refocus your
Mm-hmm.
focus and to keep you in a place of wellness, motivation, and moving on, in life. And so when some think about art, like you said, can I really have a build up, a life, or a business around, get will somebody pay me for what I do? Those are real questions. I'm a very creative and artsy, person. Love it, from fashion to jewelry making, different things. But there's a time, in a place, and I've actually been thinking, like, okay, I want to do something more, be in a zone where I'm more creative and making things. That's the
Mm-hmm.
season,
Mm-hmm.
that I'm in. And so we may have some viewers tonight who say, yes, I love it. I love art, but I'm trying to find my way back to it.
Mm-hmm.
I think we have different pockets of
Yeah.
people who may want it for self-care. You have sipping paints, and so it goes well beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you might need to throw some paint, on the paper or whatever it is. And so, how do you help the listeners gauge where they are on this wide spectrum and find a place of wellness and balance for themselves, if that makes sense?
Sure. So, what's coming to my mind as you were talking was even individuals who are working.
Mhm.
Um, Maybe you work at a desk. And when I worked at a desk, maybe I'm on the telephone with someone. As I'm listening to the person on the other line, I always had paper. If you saw my desk, it had nothing but sticky notes everywhere with just like me just scribbling. But
Wow.
me just scribbling was like soothing. And I don't
Absolutely.
think like the vibration, people realize the vibration is actually a form of coping, but it's also healing
Yes.
our nervous system as we do that, because we hold a lot of trauma in our bodies, and the trauma has to come out. So lots of times people are
Mm.
doing angry. They got to scream. They got to crash out. They got to do all of these things to get the anger out. Well, you have to treat your body in a way that will actually relaxes you. And
Yeah.
so anytime that I'm anxious, because I have panic, I do get nervous, and sometimes I don't even realize how stressed I am because I'm trying to distract myself.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
And so, in a sense of that, I crochet. I'll just start making a line. But I'm always doing something with my hands, and if I'm focusing on that, then it kind of distracts me. So there's different forms. Like, I'm not considered an art therapist because I don't have the credentials for that. But that
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean that me as a peer, I can't help other people. So
Yeah.
I try to let people know that I am in the same boat as you. I am coping with my challenges that I live with. I live with ADHD. I live
Mm-hmm.
with anxiety. I live with the trauma that is surrounding me. Every day we can go outside and we see trauma. We don't even expect it. We don't even look for it, but it's there.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
how
Mm-hmm.
do you soothe yourself? Different things with your mouth. Um, if you ever notice the beatboxers and they that's a form. If you actually did that, or something with your voice, it's actually sending vibrations throughout your body. but that's still art. You know, you can make sounds out of it. You can make music out of it. And so I think sometimes people take art too literal, that I need to know how to paint. You don't need to know how to paint. You don't need to know how to say certain things. Like, you can just, however you say it, write it out. You know, what we
That's
write, what
good.
we say is manifestations. And
Yeah.
so we have to be careful about the things that we do say, and but we still need to get the anger out.
Yeah.
Say what's going on with you, but you can't do it to your friends. You can't do
Mm-hmm.
it at work. You'll get fired. You know, you
Yeah.
can't do it in your relationships, because then
Mm-hmm.
you won't have relationships, and then you causing them trauma. So
Mm-hmm.
we
Mm-hmm.
have to find a way to release the trauma that's in us, because regardless whether you had a good growing up or you didn't, we all have some form of trauma that needs to be
Yeah.
released out of our body. And so if that means stroking the toilet paper roll, you know, you could use, I saw a lady at the mental health fair on Saturday, and she said
Mm-hmm.
she was writing poetry on a toilet paper roll.
Mm.
And so
Wow.
I'm thinking, like, wow, like I never even thought about doing something like that. But she's also struggling with mental health. So it's like an interchange of encouragement. It's
Yeah.
iron sharpening iron. I'm going
Um,
and I'm being around people who have mental health issues, but they're also helping me cope. You know,
Yeah.
we're
yeah.
we're helping each other, you
Mm.
know.
Yeah. So it's like, community healing. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's
Yeah.
coming to my mind,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
exactly.
Um, and it's creating that safe space to let people know that, hey, in my exchange, in our exchange, I'm not alone, you're not alone. And
Mm-hmm.
wow, I'm using it for this, but you're expanding now my
Yeah.
mindset and what I can do, the endless
Exactly.
possibilities.
Yeah.
Even
Exactly.
in the midst of what people would think is a setback or deficit,
Yeah.
creation is still creating. It's a
Mm-hmm.
rebirth and a birthing and a birthing and a birthing.
Mm-hmm.
Beauty is coming out of that. People say
Yes.
it's so often pain, but in sorrow and great, all of these different things.
Yeah.
And, I think the beauty of what you are sharing is that right where I'm at, going back to what you said, I am enough
Mm-hmm.
and I can help someone, support someone towards their wellness right
Yeah.
where I am. I don't
Exactly.
have to wait. Everyone's, culture today is telling us, you be healed and all of these things. And yes, it's a process,
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
right? Um,
Continuous.
Yes.
Continuous.
Yes.
continuous
It
You
never
can get, you
ends.
can
process.
get a grief hiccup. You can get triggered, and you thinking, oh, I thought I was over this. I thought that I overcome this. No, no, something still there, is still trigger you. You're human.
Yeah,
You're supposed to
yeah.
feel. You know,
Hmm.
it's sometimes people think, oh, well, that's emotional. Well, if you're not emotional, then you're not human, because
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to feel that. It didn't feel good to me, or it may felt good to me. That's still an emotion. All
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
this is, it's sometimes like social media distracts us, and so you
Hmm.
even have to figure out how you can um um the algorithm of your
Hmm.
social media, protecting
Yeah.
that, protect
Hmm.
your space. What
Yeah.
I can't prevent from getting triggered, but
Yeah.
I can decrease it in how
Yeah.
Yes.
much I'm
Yes.
around,
Hmm.
what I'm looking at, what I see, what I'm listening to. Like,
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
like before I came on here, I had some soft relaxing music on, because I know
Yeah.
that my soul needs to be at rest to talk to
Hmm.
somebody,
Yeah.
even if it's just one person. I am
Hmm.
helping them by talking, by sharing my
Yeah.
story. you
Hmm.
know I am enough. I am very successful, but that did not
Yes.
mean that me being successful, I did not have to go in the hospital. I did not
Hmm.
have to take a pill. I don't have to see a therapist. I
Yeah.
don't have to see
Hmm.
a psychiatrist. No, this winter I wanted to kill myself, and that's
Yeah.
not something I'll ever want to do. But me
Hmm.
feeling that way was not me. And so anytime I feel like I'm outside of myself, I need to
Hmm.
figure out what that is. I need
Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
so
That's
self-aware
important.
that I know my body so well. If something is twitching on my body, I need to know. I need to be so in tune with my
Yeah.
body, and even with my mind. If I'm thinking things that I know I don't want to do or want
Mm-hmm.
to do to anyone, I need to get that checked out. That's
Yeah.
not okay.
Yeah.
Because I just seen a video today where grandmother snapped and killed her granddaughter.
Mm.
And it's just, and this was in another state, but it's just as simple as that. We don't know how long she's been holding that rage in her.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to have rage or anger or anything towards anybody, but also not myself.
Yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we we have we have done things that we are not proud of,
Yeah. Yeah.
and we will continuously condemn ourselves. I shouldn't
Mm-hmm.
have did this, I shouldn't have did that. Well, it happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now how do I get
What do
past it?
you
How
want?
do I be a better person? But I can't be a better person to that person that I hurt, because they may not forgive me. So if they
Yeah.
Yeah.
don't forgive me, how do I forgive myself?
That
Yeah.
You
part.
know?
That part. Because
Yeah.
sometimes we are harder on ourselves than anybody else, and we have
Mm.
to
Exactly.
live with ourselves. So we're living inside of this cycle of constant
Yeah.
abuse of our own
Yeah,
self.
Mm.
And we
Wow.
exactly.
can't blame anyone but ourselves, because we're the ones that's doing the negative self-talk. We're the ones that are literally beating ourselves up over things we can't change. And it was
Mhm.
something powerful you said about knowing yourself so well, mentally, physically, emotionally. But I think the problem with that is most of us don't take the time to learn ourselves well enough.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's not until we have literally reached the breaking point that we realize that we're at the breaking point.
Yeah.
Um, so how would you suggest someone to get to know themselves in a way that is so in tune and so descript that they can tell when they are not themselves?
That's good.
Yeah, that's really good. Two things. So I want to speak to ones who are single, and then I want to speak to ones who are married, because I've been both. Um, as a single person, sometimes we want a mate. And I dealt with this for years. I just wanted somebody. I just wanted to feel whole. And I wasn't going to feel whole if somebody came in my life. I had to feel whole by myself. So it takes those quiet times to just sit and hear yourself breathe. Hear hear yourself breathe in and out. Just get in tune with yourself. It's simple things that you can do. Even like yoga. I was a part of a religion where there were certain things we had to be very careful about doing. Um, so I did Pilates. Pilates is similar to yoga, and so it's it's something to just kind of just like pay attention to yourself. Think about the things. Even when you can't isolate yourself, because when you isolate yourself, you still don't get to know some of the things about yourself, because you're not used to being around people. People help you learn yourself,
That's good.
because they may say, oh, well, that's not right, well, that don't sound good, or you selfish, or this and that. So now if they say that, well, what makes me selfish?
That's good. Yeah.
What makes me unkind? Well, that person just spoke to me, why didn't I speak back? Like you
Mm,
think about those things. But sometimes it takes for you to be by
Mm.
yourself, for you to realize that I need to know that. Like we think self-care is getting our nails done and our hair done. That's a necessity. We need to look good, you know.
Yeah.
But what about going to the hospital? You
Mm-hmm.
know, what about taking care of yourself in that way? Like
Mm-hmm.
we sometimes don't think about taking care of ourselves emotionally, spiritually,
Spiritual.
physically, everything. So it starts with a doctor's visit. If you're experiencing some anxiety or some trauma from a relationship that triggers you, sit with that trigger. On my website, I have a trigger log, where when
Mm.
something comes up, how does it make you feel? What's going on? Like why did I feel this way?
Mm-hmm.
Was it something I ate? It
Mm-hmm.
anything, because those things trigger you. So that's for the single person, and that's just a snippet of it. But then when you're married or in a relationship, we often loses ourselves because we're trying to please someone else. And also as a parent, and I'm one of the most self-care parents there is. I let my kids know, look, right now it's not a good time. I need to sit down and figure myself out.
Mm-hmm.
Leave me alone. Like, and it's okay. They're not gonna die. They're not they're okay. We don't have to do
It's gonna be okay.
everything for everybody. Sit in
Yes.
the car, and just decompress. Me going from a job, you done stressed out on a job, you overworked, and then you got to come home and do another job when with your family. So we loses ourselves when we're in partnerships with people, even in friendships. Some of our friendships are as close as a relationship. You can't be around them all the time. Take a break. You can't monitor everything your partner do. And baby, believe me, whatever they doing, they gonna do it regardless whether you is micromanager, the checking their phones or please stop. Don't even do that.
Mm-hmm.
Don't
Mm-mm.
even do that. If you can't be yourself with someone,
Mm.
then you can't be a good partner for them because
Mm.
they are not in love with you. They in love with what you do for them.
Yeah, the
So
real
you
you.
so
Mm-hmm.
you need to know you. You need to love you. And if you don't like yourself, what is it about you that you don't like? Because
Mm.
that's the part that you need to work on. And it's going to always be something that triggers because a trigger, you may say something you didn't even realize it's saying it just was in your head and it comes out. I do it all the time. It may
Yes.
be right, it may be wrong, but
Oh,
it's not that deep. I mean,
yeah.
we take stuff so literal and so
Yes.
serious all
Mm-hmm.
the
Yes.
time. It's not that deep, boo. It's
Mm-hmm.
not. And even us who are spiritual, we will say, I'm giving it to God, but then we don't give it to God. We just saying it. We just using words. I gave it
Mm-hmm.
to God, but then you still stressed out about it.
You
Yes.
Like
holding on.
literally,
Mm-hmm.
leave it alone. If you can't fix it, if you can't make, and I'm gonna be very transparent, and
Mm-hmm.
that's just who I am. And I really don't really care about what people think of me. But in
Mm-hmm.
May, my lights were out,
Mm-hmm.
and it took 3 weeks. And I'm calling social services. I'm calling these people. I literally had to end up calling my city council to tell
Mm-hmm.
them I've paid the bill. I can't even get through to BG&E right now.
Wow.
It's nothing else I could do. And
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't until I just gave it to God. I literally gave it to
Mm-hmm.
God, and I just look. It's nothing I could do. We don't have no lights. At least my kids are safe. They're with family. I'm roughing
Mm-hmm.
it out.
Mm-hmm.
I went to work, and I'm a professional cleaner. I don't broadcast that because I'm very selective with my clients. I
Mm-hmm.
don't clean dirty houses. I clean maintain houses. So,
I
but
gotcha.
but I have a cleaning business. I have a cleaning business,
I
and
love it.
this same client that I had was the one who took me to the hospital because I literally got up and was crying all morning. And when I got to her house, she said, "You don't look like yourself." And I said, "I need to go to the hospital." She drove me to the hospital. Well, now my lights is out. And I gets to her house. She says, "How are you?" And I said, "I'm still trying to get through. We done paid the bill. We done everything. Why am I still like without
Feeling.
light?"
Yeah.
She says, "Call your city council." And she just gave me the phone and put it in my face. And I'm like, because I wouldn't have normally called the city council. And I wasn't taught that that's what we do. We reach out to our city councils and stuff. I called
Mm-hmm.
them. In 30 minutes, the lights was back on. They had found
Wow.
some kind of phone number, but I gave it to God. I said, give it to him and go to work. You have to have
And go.
faith. The
Yeah.
faith is just it's like when you when you're hit. What is it called? Rock and hard place. I don't know. No,
Between
whatever.
a yeah, you when
Yeah,
you between a rock and a hard place. Yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's nothing else you could do. Do you know them three
Mm.
weeks that I didn't have lights? That was one of the most peaceful times of my life I came in the house, it was so quiet. I heated up the water to shower. I had a power bank. You know, I had my phone. I did
Come
all
on.
this. I was even creating. People don't even know. I did so many vendor events. I did the Authors Expo with no lights, so nobody knew that. Nobody knew that. But I was so at peace. I was so at peace.
Woo! You helping
So
someone tonight.
Yeah.
yeah. So
Keep going.
I know that there is a gift that I have. I've always, when I was little, I used to talk all the time. My aunt, she couldn't stand that I talk so much. You know, they would try to distract me, and I still get that way too. You know, when I get fired up, you know, I start talking. But my voice is the reason I have to talk. I'm talking for my mother who's not here anymore. I'm
Yeah.
talking for her grandmother who's not here,
Yeah.
who sat there and they could not speak because they're women. We're in a great era where I can use that power of speaking and saying those things. This is boiling up in my belly.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is coming from ancestrals that could
Yeah.
not speak. So I'm looking at it as I'm a living legend, but I'm
Oh,
also living.
legacy. Yeah.
I'm breaking curses and generationals that they could not do. You know,
Come on.
it's very powerful who we are, and we have to look at ourselves as powerful, but not see ego and confidence is different. You can have
Yep.
confidence, but the ego is what trips you up because your ego is insecurities. So you're thinking you're sounding confident, but it's not confidence, it's ego. So you have to balance that out because you can have confidence and still be humble. You
Yeah.
know,
Yes.
out of
Yes.
everything, I'm being humbled. You know,
Yeah.
I left a job that I was at for 16 years during the
Mm-hmm.
pandemic and started a cleaning business. I have a college degree,
Mm-hmm.
but I always had businesses, and Tamshandcrafts was one of them. And it started during a time where I was going through a divorce. And
Mm-hmm.
I often say, like, he um he humiliated me in front of the entire world because he was from Africa. I'm married to
Mm-hmm.
one in Africa. I did
Mm-hmm.
the visa, brought him back here, and we
Mm-hmm.
were married for a good time. We had a real marriage because some people think that it wasn't a real marriage. We had a
Mm-hmm.
real marriage, and it
Mm-hmm.
didn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
And it was devastating. It was humiliating. It was embarrassing. It was all of the things, and I'm trying to navigate how to still be whole after
Yeah.
I have been broken into pieces, and how I'm being a servant of God. How do my marriage not work out if I'm putting him first? You know,
Come
it
on.
was
Mm-hmm.
devastating. And so I started Tamshandcrafts. I was almost 300 pounds, you know, and as I just started making stuff, just making stuff. And I did an event. I had little to nothing inventory, but I just needed to be out there. I needed to get out there and I needed to be amongst people. And that's where the arts and crafts had came from. And then I already knew how to do a lot of things, but it was just time to get out there.
Yeah.
I started Tamshandcrafts. So when I left that job 16 years, that I was at for 16 years, Tamshandcrafts was the foundation. Well, I got hooked up in a relationship and got distracted.
Mm-hmm.
Tamshandcrafts fell off. And I was still doing events, but the passion wasn't there. And I knew it was something still boiling in me that this is something that I need to do. I just don't know what to do with it. And we were
Yeah.
put into places at the right time. And it
Come
wasn't
on.
until I went to GSU where I'm studied Dr. Cheryl. I studied all of these successful women. Now, mind you, I'm cleaning people's houses, cleaning people's toilets, cleaning doctors' offices, paying to go to the speakers university. I had lost my job a month before Greece, and I still
Mm.
made it to Greece.
You
So
did.
I still made it to
Oh,
Greece.
yes, you
It was
did.
life changing. But I when you're hit up against the wall, you have to do whatever it takes. My kids know that whatever I do, I will not. If I fall down, baby, believe me, I'm gonna get up. If I gotta grab everything nearby, I'm going to get
Mm,
up. You
And,
have to get up.
and I just want to insert here. You not only, I didn't get to Greece, but you not only went yourself, but correct me if I'm wrong, you took your daughter with you.
My daughter that I had at 16, I
mm,
took her with me to Greece because I wanted her to realize how you can be whoever you want to be.
mm,
You don't have to wait for, and you can't wait for people to discover you. If
mhm,
you're waiting for somebody, baby, you might as well just keep on waiting because it ain't
God has
coming.
already discovered you.
mhm,
That's so powerful. And so the barriers that you're breaking, the generational curses to be international, you know what I'm saying? You like I'm not only gonna go, but I'm gonna expose my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
We may be navigating but guess what? We're gonna be present and accounted for.
Mm-hmm.
And when I saw that, I was like, you better go ahead, Miss
And I wore
TeeKay.
the biggest pink dress there is.
Yes, you
Grandmother
did,
said,
girl.
you better wear your church dress. And that's where I wore my big old puffy pink dress. And me and my
Yes.
daughter dyed that dress the night before we got to Greece. But
What?
listen, people where I came from don't leave one side of the city. East Baltimore people don't know about West Baltimore. West Baltimore people don't know about East Baltimore.
Come
Listen,
on.
I'm coming from East Baltimore and I am in Greece speaking about my life. My life
That's
in
you.
Baltimore City. I'm going to wear the biggest pink dress there is.
I would make a whole statement. So you had your dress on and your daughter was sharp too. And I said, wow,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's the exposure, that's the level and beyond, because that's just the beginning, right?
Yeah.
You brought that ceiling down.
Yeah.
There is no blockage.
Yeah.
There is no limit to what
Mhm.
you can do, who you can be, what you can see.
Mhm.
And thank you all. Listen, y'all. We've been in the flow here. Thank you all for joining us tonight. This has been such an inspiring conversation, a power conversation. To let us know that no matter where we are in life, what do they say? If you can look up, you can get up.
That part.
You literally can.
Mhm.
And to know that your creativity is not only healing for you, but healing for others.
Yeah.
And that you are touching and impacting, positively impacting the lives of the people that God has placed in your purview.
Mhm. Yep.
Not being distracted by what's on the left and the right, but no, there are specific people
Mhm.
that are going to hear and hearken into your voice.
Yeah.
And you stepping out and continuing to step out, continuing to show up in your uniqueness and opening up your mouth and activating your voice in the earth. Those vibrations you talk about are
Mhm.
going out and going
Mhm.
out. And if we
Mhm.
just impact that one person,
Yep. Yep.
you know that you've done the job that God has
Mhm.
sent you in purpose, going back to purpose,
Mhm.
you to do and who you've been purposed to be. Um, I'm just gonna take a pause. I mean, your story has definitely been inspiring tonight because I see you, I know you, but I don't, we don't talk to each other every day,
Mhm.
moving. But who knows the story behind the story,
Yeah.
right? And no matter if if your lights are cut off, if you're
Mhm.
having a valley.
Mhm.
I remember a season when my lights was cut off in a
Mhm.
season when I thought that God, okay, I'm out here on your word.
Mhm.
mhm,
I'm being obedient.
Yep.
And but like you said, it was the most peacefulest. Like
Me and God, just me and God.
you
That's
can't
it.
even. know some people not even in that space where like
Yes.
you can't even tell them. I'm like,
Yes.
baby, you don't even listen.
Yeah.
You said, but that night,
Mm.
that day or two, I slept so good.
And
Didn't
I
even
got
have
medication for sleep.
to listen.
Listen, I got medication. That whole 3 weeks I ain't take them pills.
Mm.
I didn't
Listen.
take. It was just me and God. I could hear the birds outside
Come
twerping in the
on.
middle of the night. Come on,
Mm.
like it was so. I had the windows up and I could just hear nature. It was like I was outside.
Mm.
And so my kids was like, "Ma, you okay with this?" They were, and I can laugh about it now, but it
It's
wasn't
so
that I was
serious.
okay. I
Yeah.
just had to go through it.
Yes. Yes.
There was
That's the
nothing I could
thing.
do.
People don't understand. Listen, and you talked about you mentioned distractions, but but from a different point of view tonight. And sometimes it's just amazing that sometimes when life is going so good and so smooth, that in itself could be a
It
distraction and
is.
blocking you
Mm-hmm.
from really and pushing you
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
to really go all in.
Yes.
You have to take at least one day out of the week to just block your mind from everything. I mean, if it's just sitting at the park,
Mm,
even if you just put the windows up while it's raining, just put some soft music on with no words on and just sit still.
Mm.
We need to be still. How can you
mm,
meditate on his word? How can you meditate on anything if you're
anything
so distracted with the TV,
Yes.
with the phone, put the stuff down and
Mm.
just sit. That's it.
inside.
Just sit. How can you hear the vision, hear the answer of the prayer or anything if you're constantly keep moving?
Come
Mm.
on.
Your brain is keep going. Just sit still. My brain goes 99 miles per hour,
Yeah.
Yes.
but I
And
have
you're
to
not the
sit.
only one. Right.
Right,
Okay.
exactly. Especially when you're an entrepreneur, where we're constantly thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Sit
And a creative.
still. Sit
Yeah.
still. Sit still. That's all you
Yeah.
got to do. Just sit
Yeah.
still. Just let him
Yeah.
listen. You can hear him talk to you if you sit still.
And
Mm.
listen. Sarah Jakes Roberts said yesterday, I think I was listening, and she said, some of you thinking you gotta sit down and pray and fast and all of this. God said he's already trying to download the answer. I don't need your next, I don't need you to pray anymore. Right now, prayer is
Mm-hmm.
required in different things,
Yeah.
but it's a time and a season for everything.
Right.
Yes.
Sometimes you're in a season when you're praying, but it might be another season where God is answering. And he
Yeah.
wants
Mm-hmm.
to answer, he wants to give you the download, but you gotta be still.
Mm-hmm.
And quiet enough to hear it.
Mm-hmm. We say stuff like peace. Everybody talking about peace and stuff. Are you really at peace? Because you gotta be peace with simple stuff. You gotta be so at peace that you can be okay when somebody's not around and you can just sit still.
Mm-hmm.
That's the real peace. Like all of this other stuff, having the things going all out, and I go. Don't get me wrong, I do go. But
Right.
even on those trips, I remember one
Yeah.
time I traveled to North Carolina in my truck. It had a broken glass. So I had this little fake windshield thing up. It's something I created. I was
Yeah.
outside at the rest stop sleeping the best sleep I felt at that
Yeah.
moment.
Mm.
Outside.
Yeah.
Outside. He
Mhm.
literally was outside because the window was broke. But
Yeah.
I traveled down to North Carolina to actually do poetry. I took my
Wow.
same handcrafts down there because I create stuff. They had no idea that the window was broke. They
And
had,
who need listen.
you know what I'm saying? Like nobody knew that. I can speak about this because I'm okay and I'm comfortable with myself. Nobody can make me feel any better about myself. Only I can do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm okay with saying that I had to check myself in. I'm okay to say that I take medication. I'm okay to say that my lights was out. I'm okay to say that
Yeah.
nobody would know because I had still been working and
Mm.
producing events, reaching out to nobody knew any of that. By the way,
But
I
it's a
got my
part.
festival coming up.
Come on.
I
So,
got a
so
festival.
listen, as we are wrapping up this conversation, look, this is so good. This is so juicy, right? But as we are wrapping up, tell us how to find you, what's coming up. Go
Yeah.
just lay it all out to us and bring back those cards and let us know where we can get them at
Yes,
too.
yes, yes. So I'm still a vendor. And so I do different events. I'll actually be at a mental health. I'll be doing a poem on July the 12th. And a lot of these things I'm gonna update my website, but they are also on my social media accounts.
Okay.
So I try to keep that up to date. But the main thing that I'm working on is the festival. It's the second annual festival. Last year was the first festival, and mind you, I did that festival while I was severely depressed. Nobody knew that, but my
Mhm.
friends and my team. But
Yeah.
this is the second annual festival, and we have over 15 young people, young artists.
Wow.
We have even children vendors that are going to be there, and it
Awesome.
lifts my soul. So it makes my soul feel so good to see our young
Mhm.
people doing stuff, because the world paints us as if we're not doing anything, or they paints
Yeah,
us as the wire. But there's so much more good in Baltimore than there is bad.
it
Believe
is.
me, I've been around. So
Yeah.
yes, you can I have a blog. I even have a podcast myself. It's called Chat
Yes.
with Miss TK, and it's talking about mental health. How do we, businesses, how do you cope? Artists, art wellness coaches. I even interviewed an art therapist. It was all the way in Kuwait.
Come
So
on.
those are on my YouTube channel. But you can follow me at mstee.kay. I am not filtered. You will get who the real me is.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
follow me or don't follow me. I am who I am, baby. I am who I am. I have a website with a blog that I need to update. But it's getting there. I just need to get through this festival. It's a
Mhm.
lot of moving parts to it. But my website is www.tamshandcrafts.com.
Mhm.
I'm going to be speaking. I'm going to have workshops. I'm going to have they're all coming up, and as long as you follow me on social media, then you'll
Mhm.
be able to see when those things are coming up. So just hit
Awesome.
the check box so you can stay informed. But yeah,
Yes. That is so awesome. So when is the festival? What's the dates, the time? Oh,
it's July 19th, and it's
okay.
from 11 to 8 p.m. So there's going to be
Love
stuff
it.
going on all day. We're going to have a surprise. I don't want to speak into, I'm gonna leave that as a surprise,
Hold
but
it.
there's
Just
it's
hold.
just going to be so many different performances, so many different types of artists. There are going to be vendors. There are going to be games being played there, and so
Mhm.
it last year was really beautiful
Mhm.
event, and this year, if God willing, I'm gonna make sure it's be just as good as last year.
Yeah. What's the
So
location?
it's in East Baltimore in the Greenmount West community. It's called the
Okay.
Wonderground Park, and it's just a park that we all create. You know how they knock down houses and make a park.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
my
yeah.
my neighborhood association, they are keeping it the grounds up, and we do
I
different
love it.
events over there. So it's at the Wonderground Park, July
Okay.
19th from 11 to 8. It is free. So please
Mhm.
come out and support. It is on Eventbrite. It's called Fiber Fest. So
Mhm.
that's what FYBR is fiber. It's first year being
Okay.
rich. So last year was our first year, and being rich is not just monetary, because
Mhm.
we're
Yes.
definitely not that, but we're rich in soul,
Love it.
rich in life. And so
Yes.
this is a continuous process. We fall down. My teammates and my children have seen me at some of the worst states, but I am still rich. I am still
Mhm.
at peace,
Yeah.
even in the
Yeah.
midst of turmoil. I still have
Yeah.
to, because I have so much to live for. And
Yeah.
it's so
Yeah.
much that, like I said, my ancestors weren't able to do. But then
Yeah.
not
Yes.
only that, what about my grandchildren and
Come
their
on.
children? I
Yes.
have
Mm.
something so
From
big and
one
so
generation to the
purposeful that
yeah.
I can't stop and be stuck in negativity and crash out and do all of those. I don't have time for that. I can't do
Literally.
that in the midst of a storm. I have to figure out how I can keep going. How can I
Yes.
stay sane? I can't. I can't let myself fall. I can't let
Yeah.
myself fall. That and don't get back up. Because we're
Yeah.
gonna
Yeah. Yeah.
fall, but don't get back up. I have to get back up. And
Yeah.
that's my legacy that I have. And life is not easy. You know, it's not
No.
easy for none of us. We can even see with the artists that are out here that are billionaires, and life is not easy. It don't matter how much money you got. Life is not easy. So we can't
Yep.
compare ourselves to people. We can't, you know, we envy people because that's just human nature. But
Yeah.
we have to be on guard about those things, because if you can make you happy, nobody will. You can have the
Mm-hmm.
best partner in the
Mm-hmm.
world, and you can't see
Gotta be
their
within. Yeah.
goodness, their strength,
Mm-hmm.
because you are so broken.
Mm,
Come on.
mm,
Mhm.
mm. That's a
You
word.
can
Come
have the
on.
best, yeah, you can have the best friends and be in the best community, be in the best everything. And if you're broken, nothing even matters.
Nothing even matters at all. What Lauren Hill
That
says,
part.
Mm,
right?
Yep.
Because you're blind, you can mess up a good thing even when
Yeah.
you can't see it. And wow, that's so many nuggets,
yes.
so much.
Yeah.
So whether you are listening to us live or listening to the replay, I promise you, like, this conversation is going to make your soul leap
Mm-hmm.
and shift some things,
Mm-hmm.
and hopefully and prayerfully help you to prioritize,
Hmm.
help you before you prioritize, because you don't want to prioritize in something that you need to actually release, let go, and put in
Yeah.
delete. As one of my mentors said, she said, no, retract, press delete on that word,
Yeah.
delete on that.
Yeah.
So evaluate where you
Mhm.
are tonight. Mental health is important. And I think that, you mentioned, like, in the word, in the Bible, that you have the psalmists and you have the musicians and
Mhm.
the creatives is they are
Even the song
can
that
be,
was poetry, you know?
yes, are under attack.
Hmm.
And so you have to, if you are a creative, like, realize that all the goodness that's in you, that you want to release into the world, there is someone, the enemy seeks
Yes.
to devour
Yes.
and to knock you off your post or get you distracted. It can be the
Hmm.
enemy, the inner you, whatever,
Hmm.
Yes.
however you
Yep.
say it, right? Yourself, but to get you distracted. And so our prayer tonight is, as you evaluate, as you look at your life, as you pay attention, as you see what you need,
Hmm.
assess it, get the help that you need.
Yeah.
Yes.
You spoke it out early and you said, I am successful.
Hmm.
But guess what? In order for in success, you define that, whoever's watching, by whatever your own definition, not by the world. Don't let
Hmm.
them define it,
Yes.
but by your own definition. But in order for you to succeed,
Hmm.
like your car needs a oil
Yes.
Hmm.
change and maintenance, you need the same.
Yeah.
Reboot, what's my favorite? My recalibrate.
Yes.
Do what you need to
Yeah.
get what you need so you can stay in motion,
Yep.
so you can keep moving in purpose. So
Hmm.
wherever you find yourself today, it is our prayer again that you take these words, these nuggets, and you do what you need to do so that you can continue to move powerfully
Yeah.
in your life, for you first, and then for others. Make sure your cup is full
Yes.
before you try to squirt it out on somebody else,
Hmm.
squeeze it out on somebody
Hmm.
else. Because remember that what's in the cup is for you.
Hmm.
What hits your salsa is for others.
Hmm.
If it ain't hitting your salsa, then please Don't try to dish it out.
Yeah.
That's just my thoughts. This has been amazing. I
Mm-hmm.
want to again thank you so much, Miss TK, for
Yeah.
pouring out, for being transparent, for being real,
Yes. Mm,
for sharing with us how you are resiliently rising to the occasion in every aspect of your life.
yes.
And for not only being it for yourself, but showing up for your children,
Hmm.
showing up for your community, and
Mm-hmm.
showing up for your legacy.
Yeah.
I thank you for that.
Yes.
Thank you
And I
so
pray
much.
that God will pour back into you all that you've poured out and so much
Lord.
more. Lady T, what how you feeling? Like,
That was amazing.
Thank you.
I think it takes a lot of courage to share
mm-hmm,
something so personal and something so that can be so sensitive, no matter how long ago it's been. So I
Mm-hmm.
thank you for that.
yeah.
And I just want to remind the viewers about something that TK said earlier about not being rigid in your creating. There are no rules
Mm,
to creating.
yeah.
Just create.
Mm-hmm.
You see the vision, just get it out as you see it. Doesn't have to be any rhyme or reason. You don't have to color inside the lines. Color outside
Mm,
the lines. I actually beg of you to, because that is when
I
you
love
find
it.
your truest self and your
Mm-hmm.
rawest form, and
Mm-hmm.
you learn more about yourself when you go against the grain and color
Yeah.
outside the lines when it doesn't make sense.
Mm,
Yeah.
that's good. That's so good. There is someone, I think someone just asked, can you share again the festival information just real quick? They said, did I miss it?
I
Oh,
don't know if they can take a screenshot of
okay.
the
And
QR
send
code,
it.
but I
Okay.
can it's definitely on my page, but it's called the Fiber Fest 2025. So it's definitely on Eventbrite. Um and so it's July 19th that's coming up. It's 409 East Lanville Street. It's called the Wonderground Park. And
Awesome.
so we're gonna have performances throughout the day, games. Anybody who is a food vendor, I'm looking for some
Mhm,
food vendors.
mhm,
Just need a few more. But there are gonna be treats and vendors, and like I said, the young people is out and they are so I'm so absolutely proud of them young kids. Like
yeah.
they have their own business. So we're gonna have children vendors, some children
Yeah.
vendors, and a lot of youth performing. And so it's
Mhm.
really gonna be something amazing. Um,
Awesome.
yeah.
So I'm excited. Drop all of your links inside the chat as well. So y'all go over, uh, connect, show up, support, sponsor, pour
Mhm.
into, see if you can be a guest. Do wherever
Yes.
there's an alignment for you, reach out. Again, we thank you so much for sharing your powerful story tonight. I look forward to collaborating, connecting with you even more now. And again, this has been such a treat tonight.
It has
Look,
been.
ladies and gentlemen, this is Sister to Sister Talk Power Moves. This is where we flow. It's a flow and not a show. You know, with the flow, we fearlessly level up, we overcome, and we win. Tonight, we have heard it from the mouth of a winner. She is winning, 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 and not waiting for the later, but she's doing it right now. And
Yeah.
so, again, follow and connect. Meet us here. Don't just meet us here. Beat us here next week. Monday at 7 p.m., where we're going higher and higher and higher. This has been another Sister to Sister Talk Power Moves, and we are powerfully moving through the earth. It's a trailblaze, y'all. It's we blazing a trail. Let me say that. And so stay connected, and we thank you all for staying tuned tonight. Take care, take charge, and God bless you. Thank you again, TK.